Hi and welcome back. Okay, I'm in the studio today and I'm going to give a quick demonstration on a monolight and how it works. And for the most part, if you are new to lights, you might be interested in knowing how a strobe light works. But for the most part, we're just going to take a quick overview of this particular light. Now, this happens to be an UltraZap 1600 white lightning. I'm not sure if they make them anymore. I haven't had to buy any lights from them in a really long time. And I've been using these lights for a really long time as well. And they're a very high quality product. Paul C. Buff makes the white lightning and the Alien Bees. And the Alien Bees tend to be a lot more popular than the white lightnings, but they're also more compact and have a little bit less output in some of their models compared to the white lightnings, which, I've got a 3200, which is a huge monolight. So you very likely are not going to have these. And so as such, you're going to have to take what I say today and sort of translate it over years. Again, if you're new to strobe lighting and don't know how they work, you're going to have to translate it over, and because they're all different. Every one of them's different in the features and how they work. And so I'm not capable of getting a hold of all of those to give you a demonstration on each of them. So we're going to just work on this one. Then hopefully you can move on to comparing yours to this and get a good understanding of how they all work. So, very first thing here, this one comes with a 7-inch reflector. They used to come with a skinny little umbrella holder that was worthless. So this is much better, but again, light modifiers are even better. Umbrellas and light boxes and stuff, depending on the kind of light you want. You may want a raw reflector. So throughout this course, if you hear me saying, I just used a raw reflector, all I had on there was this. Produces a very contrasting light. And as such, if you want soft light, you would add a modifier. I keep these because I can put grids on them when I need to use grids. So, next thing is you got your flash tube here and your modeling light here. All I got to say about those is don't touch them with your bare hands. The oil from your fingers will get on there and then they'll blow. They'll quit working quickly because of the oil for some reason. So, use white cotton gloves that you can get in, from the camera stores and stuff like that. The next thing is up here on this particular model, that's the opening for the umbrella shaft to go in there. So you would take the reflector, down here's a little trigger, pull it in. You'll notice these move in, allowing you to insert it into the reflector. Then you just line up the holes that you see on top, and you can go right in with your umbrella. Piece of cake. All right, so let's look at the back side here. So the very top, we have the power and the modeling light settings. So the top one on this unit, that little lightning bolt indicates the modeling light. I'm sorry, the flash output power level. Below it is the modeling light level or brightness for it. Now, it's currently at full power. You can see here it says full power. Then it says -1 or half power. -2, quarter power, 1/8 power, 16th, and 32nd. So again, you're lowering the power because your first test shot, for example, was too bright. So you want to cut the power in your strobe by 1 stop, 2 stops, stop and a half, or something like that. So first you turn it on. And you can see the modeling light lit the background here. So if you want to lower the power 1 stop, you would go to the next indication. And you'll notice the very first thing is it says dump. When you turn this on at full power, it's loaded the capacitor with all the juice it can to output a full blast of light, the maximum amount that this unit is capable of outputting. But when you lower the power, it still has a lot of that energy in the capacitor. So you hit the test button and it dumps it. Now the light has enough juice in the capacitor for a quarter power level output, meaning only 1/4 of the power at full power. So you lower that, you go down again, you hit the test button. Doesn't want to work for me. And it depletes the capacitor. Then you can go back up if you need more power, and this will come on and tell you, okay, it added that juice back to the capacitor, and now it's ready. So that's the ready light. So once you are making all your adjustments with all your lights, or every time I should say that you're out there you're taking a picture of somebody or something, and the light in the back's too bright. You go back there, you lower the power, always want to dump it, and let it recharge at the next power level that you set for it. So, another thing is, I think I just mentioned this. So another thing is, you can leave the modeling light at full power, or as I mentioned previously, you can drop the modeling down to the same brightness level as the output level, dump it, and it's ready to go. So again, that allows you to see your ratio. So I'm going to go back down here, right into there, and okay. Now, modeling light. Now the modeling light is off, as you can see. I turned it on and off. Now it's back on, back off. So you can leave modeling light off all the time. One of the things, and I talk about this in the equipment video, is that when you have a grid on the front of this reflector and you got that modeling light up to full brightness, it gets extremely hot and can even, I've seen, melt. If you have gels or filters on the front of it, can melt them because it gets so hot. So keep your modeling light level low if you're using a grid. Okay, so it says ready to go, modeling light, you turn on and off. Now, this is the ready light. You can also turn this on or off. And what happens with this is, after you take a flash, I'm going to leave it on. After you take a flash, the modeling light does not come back on until the strobe has repowered to the level that you have set here. That's awesome. So again, I mentioned that. If you've got a big setup in a warehouse, you're photographing the CEO of a company right here, you can take a picture, even though you got lights way back there, that you don't want to have to keep walking back to those lights to make any kind of adjustments or to check and see if they're powered up. The modeling light will not come on those lights if you turn on this ready button. So the flash will fire, then you wait just a little bit, a couple seconds, and then when you see those modeling lights come back on, you're ready for your next picture. So that's very, very handy. Okay, below the ready light is the slave. If this is one of your slave lights, meaning it's ones that's way out there in that warehouse I was just describing, and it sees the other strobe fires, the one that's connected to the camera with the wireless trigger or the PC cord, that's the first one that fires that triggers the rest of them with these slaves. So if this light's out in the field, it's that slave that's going to be seeing the main strobe flash. Perfect. That's what you want to happen. If you've got that light somewhere too far out there and your main key light with your wireless trigger doesn't fire when you take a picture, it means the slave cannot see. Now, I've carried little tiny bits of rolled up aluminum foil and duct tape when I'm doing big shoots. I'll take that duct tape and I'll tape that aluminum foil to the side or the bottom or even the top. So if my main light is back there, for example, where the camera is, and it doesn't fire, doesn't trigger this, I'll try putting the aluminum foil on here, bend it, so maybe it sees that light next, flashes into the foil, and then triggers that slave unit to fire. So it can be a little tricky. I have also had to take my wireless trigger, one attached to the camera, then one attached to the strobe. I've taken it off the strobe I thought it should be on, and I put it in one in the back, because then that one output enough light that all the rest of them saw it. So you may have to do a juggling act as to which ones is your trigger strobe and which one is your slave strobes. So you might have to do a little bit of juggling. Okay, so slaves, dump. Okay, finally, here's the PC cord. Every strobe comes with a PC cord. Plug it into here, it goes right to your camera. If you're buying new strobes, you'll be fine. But if you're buying really old strobes, you might want to get this thing right here called a safe sync and mount it in your hot shoe and plug the PC cord into it, because it has been known that old strobe lights with old electronics have fried the electronics of digital cameras. So you don't want that to happen. So use a safe sync if you buy really old flashes. So if you have a newer unit, you're not going to need to do that. However, this is a world of wireless triggering devices. If you do that, you got no problems ever, because the cord's not connected to your camera. So that PC cord would go in there. Once the PC cord is in here, this strobe no longer, the slave is deactivated once the cord's in there. So that's another important thing to know. Then if sometimes things just quit working and you don't know why the strobe won't fire, hit the reset button. So that's pretty much it on strobe lights and on these particular strobe lights. So hopefully that enlightened you enough to know what you're going to get when you get your own strobe lights, or maybe helped you out a little bit, understanding yours a little bit better. So,
Hey, thanks for watching New Photography School. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming tutorials. Keep shooting!